Many of us feel the need to engage in certain activities such as going to the gym, jogging, waking up really early, taking cold showers, or refraining from certain foods. And so these activities, they typically put us out of our comfort zone and subsequently make us suffer. Of course, we know that these activities will have some benefits, either short or long term. But the main benefit I'd like to talk about is that these activities push the limitations of what our willpower allows us to do in the moment. In other words, this is self-discipline. Self-discipline is essentially the quality that acts as a tool to liberation. You will find that many different philosophies, practices, religions are always encouraging discipline, where the goal of most of these philosophies and religions and different types of belief systems is some sort of heaven or liberation or enlightenment or whatever it may be. And so self-discipline is usually a prerequisite to that. As we look closer at these practices, we can sort of derive that they are targeting the animalistic aspects of ourselves that we can very easily be enslaved by. Now, there is essentially 4 of these things. They are sleep, food, survival, and sex. If these 4 things are not taken care of, they will eventually enslave us. They will be the main purpose of our life. And we can very easily see that in certain unfortunate parts of the world where there is a lot more suffering, physical suffering, tyranny, hunger, poverty, we can see that the main purpose of many humans there is to just get by, is to just survive, is to just be able to see daylight the next day. And so it's very difficult for human beings in such a setting to become a fully fledged or unlock the full potential of what it means to be a human being. If we look at a bird isn't really carrying out its full potential or its full purpose if it's not using its wings to fly. The same way we can say that a leopard isn't carrying out its purpose if it's not using its tremendous speed to catch its prey. And so the human being isn't allowing itself to be a fully liberated human being if we are not liberated from the 4 things I mentioned. Now let's take a look at these 4 things. When it comes to survival and to protect our life sort of physically, to ensure that we are in a safe environment, many of us are fortunate enough, especially if you have the ability to watch this, most likely this is pretty much covered. When you go outside, go out of your house, you don't have to so much worry about a predator suddenly attacking you. And so we can say that survival is pretty much covered, especially because food is so easy to reach, and at the same time you only need to take a few steps to be able to drink water. Now when we look at the other 3 things, food, sex and sleep, we will notice that many practices and religions put together teachings or practices that allow us to maintain or put these needs, necessary needs in our life, under control. So for food, we have certain things such as fasting or refraining from certain types of food. For sleep, usually we are always encouraged to wake up early and enter meditation or prayer. And for sex, we are encouraged to be modest and also refrain from sexual interactions before a certain period, before marriage, let's just say. And so when these 3 things are under control, do we allow ourselves the platform, the space to become the greatest version of ourselves? And essentially being the greatest version of ourselves being a human that lives life full of meaning is a lot more liberating, a lot more rewarding than engaging in the three, let's just say, more animalistic aspects of life. And the reason for this is, if we are governed and enslaved by these four animalistic yet necessary aspects of ourselves, then they will fully occupy our vision, they will fully occupy our perspective. And these are things that require a type of attention that keep our vision quite narrow and, you may say, small. Now, don't take this the wrong way where I'm trying to negate these necessities. All I'm saying here is that we have to perhaps put these things under check, because if we don't observe them and watch over them, they will conquer us and take over us, and they will be the prime goal of life. Now, all of this is also linked to instant gratification, because our mediums to instant gratification is what strengthens our need for the more animalistic needs of ourselves. Now, rather than me telling you what it is that you need to do, I'd like this to be a sort of reminder to be conscious of our needs. Where does our attention always lead to? What is the thing that you think about the moment before you sleep? And what is the first thing you think about as soon as you wake up? These sort of time frames, or these periods in our day, really give us an idea of what we really focus on. And so I just want this to be a reminder where we can perhaps look above this. We can very easily get entangled and twisted in the material aspects of life. And once again, this is not to go and say that we should negate all of it. It is nice, and we are here to experience it, but balance is really what it's down to. We need to be able to check and observe and overlook our physical needs, because if we don't, then we are governed and we are enslaved by them. And now, next time you feel like you want to put together a sort of resolution or enter a new habit, a disciplinary activity such as going to the gym or taking cold showers, you'll now sort of know and understand what it is that you need most, what your weakness is. And so, for me personally, I like to be really comfortable and warm, and I don't really enjoy being cold so much. So yeah, I take cold showers. And at the same time, I really like food. I love food, and very often I think about food quite a lot. And so I take part in sort of fasting and intermittent fasting. And so this really teaches me that I have the will, that I have the ability to overcome this. And so rather than food being a severe necessity the whole time, I can sort of put myself in a mindset after practicing fasting that food is there to survive, and of course to enjoy to a certain limit. And so find your sort of disciplinary practice. What is it? I'd like you to share this with me by commenting below. Let's make this a bit more interactive. Let me hear from you. You've heard me speak for quite some time, so let's hear from you. Now, if I could summarize this whole talk into one line, and I've already said this multiple times before, it is that discipline is the vehicle to liberation.